How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and I'm sure by now most of you have heard about this so-called anti-diversity manifesto from a man named James Damore, who is a software engineer over at Google, or he was a software engineer over at Google. He has been fired for perpetuating gender stereotypes. I mean, really crazy. It's unfortunate. I don't mean to laugh, but you know, in his so-called manifesto, what they call it, like a 10-page screed. You know, the media is very strange with how they call things. It's like a lot of dog whistles going on. But in this 10-page thing, he talks about all the things wrong with Google, and all the things that he said in it were pretty much on point. And he even pretty much spelled out his own doom. He was like, you can't say certain things like this because you'll get fired as a result. And here we are. As of yesterday, on Monday, August 7th, 2017, he was fired. It was like, you know what? You got to bounce, pack your bags. You have, committed a thought crime, essentially. And it's really unfortunate because in the thing he wrote, he was trying to give out some real good information as to how Google can fix its internal problems. And the problems that they have are all centered around being extremely far left in their ideology. They're all about so-called diversity, inclusion, trying to just meet unrealistic goals. Like they're trying to get it to a point where you have 50-50 men and women in tech. How is that possible? That's like saying that you're going to get 50-50 men and women in nursing. It's 90% of nurses that are women right now. How are you going to drop that down to 50% women and 50% men? Maybe, just maybe, men and women are different biologically, and maybe, just maybe, they generally enjoy doing different things. Hashtag not all. Not all the time where you have a woman that wants to be a nurse or a male that does not want to be a nurse. You have some male nurses, right? You have some female truck drivers. You have some female police officers, firefighters, military. But at the end of the day, police, fire, military, those things are dominated by men, just like nursing, elementary school teachers, daycare providers. Matter of fact, I would not want a male daycare provider, right? If you go to a daycare center and it's all males working, something is wrong. Right, I'm thinking, yo, these guys are pedophiles. Like, I'm not going to leave children around a bunch of males. I don't care if they're gay or what. Right. I would prefer children be taken care of by women. If it's one guy in there, I got to check him out. I got to see what's going on. I need to look at his criminal background history. I need to get his fingerprints, all of that, because I want to know what's going on. Why is this man here doing this? The same kind of way I would be kind of confused if you had a female, like a fighter pilot. It's like, how did you get to that role? Danica Patrick in NASCAR, that's an anomaly right there. A lot of women are not necessarily like excellent drivers. It is what it is. Men and women are different. And in this so-called screed or manifesto, the guy who got fired unceremoniously by Google and predictably by Google was saying just that. One thing he said that was pretty on point here was that the left and the right have their own biases, right? He was saying that the left is too easy to change, right? They'll change things on the drop of a hat. They'll deprecate services that are widely loved. They'll take away things people use every day because they want to just update things. They want to change things. A big example of this is with Apple. Apple's pretty much just jumped the shark ever since Tim Cook took over after Steve Jobs died. When Steve Jobs died, so did Apple. Steve Jobs was not necessarily a conservative or anything like that, but he had a strong business mind that was able to transcend the corporate ideology of extreme leftism that has pretty much infiltrated all of corporate America, right? He was able to see things far beyond where they were right now. He had great innovation. He was an innovator. But Tim Cook, on the other hand, I think is more about being a company guy. He's more of an employee rather than a visionary. And this is why you have things like USB ports being removed from the laptops. Why would you remove USB ports? Understand this. People that buy Apple products, a lot of us are professionals. I had Apple products for many years. I had an Apple iMac and also had a MacBook Pro. I used both of those for a very long time. And when it was time to upgrade, this is past Steve Jobs dying. This is well into Tim Cook's era. I'm looking at their products and I'm like, wait a minute, this laptop does not even have USB ports on it. I have all kind of peripheral devices. I have a microphone, an external camera. I have all kind of, external hard drives. I have a lot of different things. Like right now, I probably have 5 things plugged into USB, but you want to remove the USB ports, and I need to have a space for like a thumb drive. So I need at least about 5 or 6 ports open, but you want to remove the ports and give me Thunderbolt, even though most things do not use Thunderbolt, or you want to remove all the ports in general. even the headphone jack. I mean, come on. I use headphones every single day. Most professionals that are creative use headphones every single day. That's what happens when you are trying to change too much. You're not going to just create an environment of stability. And that's what he said about the right. He was saying the right, they are more stable, but sometimes they're too stable to the point where they don't want to change at all. Some change is good, but some stability is good as well. So that's why having left and the right in your corporate structure coming together is like yin and yang, man and woman. You get all the energy combined together to create a harmonious balance, to create the best of all worlds, right? That's the way it should be, rather than just having one point of view, which is what Google's going through right now. They have a very far left point of view. Everything is about diversity. Everything is about, so-called underprivileged minority groups. And the whole thing about being underprivileged is important here because, truth be told, much of Silicon Valley is ran by Asians. A lot of Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Indian subcontinent, Pakistani, etc. So they are a minority in the United States, but you got to say underserved or underprivileged. Talk about basically African American and some Latinos, people that come from the ghetto. So you got to have programs specifically for them, and then programs specifically for women, and et cetera, so on and so forth. So much so to the point we have resources for them, programs for them. You neglect others. You neglect to be able to give everybody access to these programs that are vital for you to be able to go through work. It's like you giving them an unfair leg up, an unfair advantage, just because you think that they are underprivileged. And beyond that, a lot of people that go into STEM, a lot of people that go into tech are not necessarily underprivileged just because they're black. You got a lot of black folks that come from wealthy families that have had money for a very long time, for generations and generations, maybe even own slaves themselves, that now find themselves being able to benefit. So you're giving them a leg up in the workplace. They don't even really need it, but it's there to take advantage of it. It's an unfair environment, but that's what happens when you kind of live in the leftist echo chamber, just like Google, just like Apple, just like anywhere Silicon Valley, the West Coast in general. That's how it is. And it's really unfortunate. And in this piece, he was trying to give some solutions. He was trying to say, you could have more women in tech by doing, peer communication, being able to have women work in teams with each other rather than being solo. Because the honest truth is, which my man laid out in his piece, is that women a lot of times are more social creatures. They enjoy people more than they enjoy things. Men, we don't really care. We could pretty much just be one mode all day, typing, coding. We're not trying to be social like women. Women want to be, have everybody like them, be smiling, but men are different. We're just different. And these differences are real. So for him to get fired for promoting gender stereotypes, what do you mean a gender stereotype? Like a gender fact? These things can be corroborated with actual facts. It's biology. You got your biology book when you're in high school. So if you read your biology book and it says that women are different than men, hormonal differences, temperament differences, physical differences, you got your ability to create a baby from a woman and the man does not have that ability. Woman can breastfeed a baby, all these different things that men cannot do. So are you going to say that this book promotes gender stereotypes when you have scientific evidence and data? It's crazy. And, shout out to Stefan Molyneux. I saw his video about this and he was saying that the guy was trying to, basically what people do is like they kind of virtue signal in these little things. They try to say, well, both sides are wrong. They try to do that all the time to soften the blow, so to speak, that needs to be struck against the left. But like he said, there's no point in doing that, because at the end of the day, if you are not on the left, the far left with them, it doesn't matter how much you try to like downplay it or say that, oh, both sides are wrong. Nah, you got to be on their side 100%. And if you're not on their side 100%, then you're pretty much excommunicated, you're cast away, you're banned. And this is what happened here. He got fired, unfortunately. But he was trying to say that the left and the right are wrong. They both have their flaws, such as things like the right does not believe in science when it comes to climate change, and the left does not believe in science when it comes to IQ and gender. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're trying to still keep a leftist point of view, because climate change really is kind of an unproven thing. It's not about being on the right. It's about, getting some hardcore evidence. If the evidence was there for climate change as it is for gender, then I would have to believe in climate change. But gender, that's a biological observable thing. You can observe it with a scientific method, being able to demonstrate something in real time in an experiment, right? You can do blood tests to see if a man is a man, if a woman is a woman. You got all kind of indicators that say whether a man is a man, woman is a woman. Most notably the genitalia. That's a dead giveaway right there. But if somebody's had their penis removed or whatever, you can still tell if the person isn't male or if they're female. There's physical, scientific data that you can extract and observe to see what's going on. But climate change, you have people making assumptions and guesses and, inferences as to climate being changed by a man or what. It's not as clear cut as gender is. So he made kind of a false equivalence to just kind of give an olive branch to the left who will see it and get offended. And by the way, this post went viral within Google. I think they have an internal meme network called MemeGen. I'm not really sure what that's all about. I mean, a meme network to, push out information, whatever. I guess it works for them. They also have other things. They have internal G+ posts where they talk about things amongst people that work in Google. So this post went viral among Googlers, so to speak, before it even got to the press. So obviously something in it struck home. People know in Google that this is a problem. If they did not know it was a problem, then it wouldn't have gone viral. Now, I'm sure somebody snitched. I'm sure somebody told about this and said, hey, HR, come get this guy, thought police, arrest him, send him away, send him to the gulag, send him to the oven. But, I think most people really understood what he was saying. And at the beginning of this, he was saying people had emailed him and were saying, thank you for coming out and saying what you say. I can't say it. I don't want to get fired, which of course he did end up getting fired. As I close here, I want to say one more thing. That was a very interesting response from Google. Well, not necessarily from Google itself, like, with the whole company, but from a person in Google. This person's name is Danielle Brown, and they are the VP of, I'm going to read this here, Diversity, Integrity, and Governance. Very long, haughty title, but whatever. I digress. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll place it on the screen before you so you're able to see exactly what she said. But here's an important paragraph from that. I'm going to read that right quick for you. Many of you have read an internal document shared by someone in our engineering organization expressing views on the natural abilities and characteristics of different genders, as well as whether one can speak freely of these things at Google. And like many of you, I found that it advanced incorrect assumptions about gender. I'm not going to link it here, as it's not a viewpoint that I or this company endorses, promotes, or encourages. So right there, that tells you that you cannot say stuff like that. If, number one, she wouldn't even say the guy's name, she'll say someone in an engineering department, right? And of course, the guy was known. It was pretty much known who it was. Like, I'm pretty sure the guy's name was attached to it. So it's not like this is an anonymous person. So you didn't even want to give him credit for it, first of all. Second of all, you say that you don't encourage that, you don't endorse it, and you don't promote it. So, okay, if you want to say that you can, be free to say what you want and, it's not really cause for concern, because that's kind of how this thing read. If you want to say that, then why say all these things like, well, we don't condone it. You just push stuff far away from it and say, well, nah, this is not us. And you said it's incorrect. Well, how you know it's incorrect? Like, a lot of it was biology. So this is what I'm saying. This is the far left nature of Silicon Valley, Google, Apple, all these companies over there. This is how they behave. And this is the whole thing going on with the censoring and stuff like that on YouTube. It's all part of one big thing. It's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. I say the best thing I can do is just speak out about it to let everybody know what's going on, to alert my followers, anybody else that watches this video about this whole situation that's happening. Talk to Google, tell them like, yo, the far left stuff we're not really with. Many of you may be liberals and that's fine. But are you on the far left? I'm a conservative. I'm not on the far right. I'm like a centrist. I think most people in general in their daily walking lives are centrists. This is exactly why this so-called screed or anti-diversity manifesto went viral on Google, is because the average person working over there is not a far leftist. I think the corporate culture creates a far left environment, but that does not mean that the people that work in the far left environment are far leftists themselves. So at the end of the day, as I close, I think that people should take heed to what happened here. Look at that actual piece that my man wrote. I'll put that in the box below. Look at the piece and read it and see if you agree with it, disagree with it, whatever. It doesn't matter if you left, right, center, agnostic, politically, socially, whatever. Just read it and see what you think. So what do you think? Was it predictable that my man would get fired for writing this over at Google? Does Google represent a company that does not really want diversity of anything else other than skin color? That's what it seems like, because if you can't have thoughts that are different than the left or the far left, That's not diverse, right? You can have a bunch of robots all have the same mind, painted different colors. That's not diversity. That is just different decorations, right? You can have 100 different houses that all look the same. They're decorated differently, painted differently. They're all the same house, right? All the Cracker Jack boxes and apartments and stuff like that. The apartment's not diverse. The decoration is maybe, but the apartments themselves are not. So at the end of the day, diversity should be more about your viewpoints. And really, that will create a better company right there. People say diversity is our strength, but when they say that, they're not talking about true diversity. They're talking about diversity that is not really good for you. So that's pretty much all I got to say. Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.